So today I'm going to inspect the clutch on my 2016 Beta 250RR. The last couple of oil changes, the oil came out really dark and smelling extremely burnt, which hasn't happened before. So I'm wondering if the clutch is going out, although I don't feel any problems while engaging the clutch or using it. The clutch has around 100 hours on it, so it might be time. So today I'm going to start by draining the oil. This time the oil only has 6 hours on it. So hopefully this time it comes out nice. And draining the oil is super easy. Just one 13 mm bolt that's right here. So I'm going to drain the oil and then inspect it. Alright, so the oil draining is done. This is what the oil looks like. This time it wasn't too bad. From this angle it kind of looks dirty, but it's not really. It came out pretty nice. And then here is a drain plug and there's almost nothing on it. Looks pretty clean, so no metal shavings or anything. So to be honest, I'm not super worried about the clutch, but it's a good idea to inspect it anyways at 100 hours. Okay, so now I've laid the bike down on its side so I can access the clutch cover, and the next step is to take out this bolt that holds the brake lever on, because otherwise it's in the way. So take out this bolt using a 5 mm Allen on this side and a 13 mm wrench on the other. So this is what the bolt looks like. There's a washer, there's a nut, and then the 5 mm hex bolt. So I've taken that out already. Now I'm going to clean around this area real nice, because you don't want any dirt going down when you take the clutch cover off. So I'm going to clean it, and then these see 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 8 mm bolts come out, and that should let me take the clutch cover off. Okay, so the 5 clutch cover 8 mm bolts are out, and as you can see, obviously 3 are long, 2 are short, so I've kept them in the same order as they came out, this being the bottommost one. Now the clutch cover should just come. Right, now that the bolts are out, there's just this brake pedal spring that's connected here. So once I lift this out, it should be super easy to just disconnect that, and the clutch cover should come out. The clutch cover is off. The next step is to take out these 4 8 mm bolts, washer and spring. That should take the pressure plate off, and then the plate should come out. So the pressure plate is out. The first thing I did is note that it starts with a fiber, because that'll be important to know when I put it back. I made sure nothing was sticking to the back of the pressure plate. So now, yeah, next thing is to pull all of these out and then inspect them. So all the discs are out. I have to admit, I struggled a bit with the last disc because I couldn't find my pick set. So I had to use like 2 small screwdrivers, but eventually I was able to get it out. And I inspected the basket, the clutch basket and the hub, and they seem to be in phenomenal shape. There's absolutely no grooving, none of that, nothing that I need to sand out or anything. So this is absolutely good to go. It looks really good. So now I'm going to inspect the plates next. So here is everything laid out. The clutch cover with the bolts, the pressure plate, the 4 springs, washers and nut, and then the plates, starting with a friction and also ending with a friction. Now here is one thing that kind of threw me off a little bit. According to the repair manual, the last friction plate is supposed to be a special plate. They call it out everywhere in the manual that that plate has to be in place. It's the special friction, and then from there on you alternate steel friction. But I pulled it out and there doesn't seem to be anything special about it. It looks exactly like the others, so I'm not quite sure about that. But either ways, I'm going to keep it in the same place. So I put the exact same friction back in first when I put these in. But yeah, that's one thing that was a little bit confusing. Alright, so here is my really non-scientific measurements, because the tolerances are so tight on this one. So there's a few different things to measure. So let's maybe start with the easy stuff. So on the spring, you need to measure the spring and make sure it's at least 42 mm, no less than 42 mm. So I've done that, and all of mine are in spec. They are all closer to 43. So some of them are 42.9, 43, something like that. So they are all in spec. Now on these friction discs, they want you to measure this distance as well, like on these little tabs here, and that has to be more than 13.3 mm. Now I highly doubt you're going to wear these out before you wear out like this friction material here, but anyways, it's good to measure, and again they're all comfortably in spec for me. But the main measurement is the thickness. So I don't know if you can tell here, but this friction material is offset. Like on both sides, it's not exactly aligned, it's slightly offset. So the tricky thing here is when you measure this, we need to make sure that you're measuring across the two friction pads on either sides. I don't know if if that makes a whole lot of sense, but yeah, see, this is offset, so you want to make sure that the calipers are on the friction material on both sides when you measure, and the tolerance there is 2.8 mm, like no less than 2.8 mm. Now I've measured all of my discs and they all seem to be either in the higher 2.8, so like 2.89, 2.88, or then closer to 3, like 2.97. Some of them measure 2.93. Now I'm not sure how accurate my caliper is, but at least nothing is even close to 2.8 or less than that. Now I'm not sure what this thickness is supposed to be when you buy new friction plates, so I'm going to research that a bit, but as far as I can tell, everything seemed to be in spec. The next thing is measurements with these steel plates. Now for this, you're not supposed to measure the thickness. Instead, you're supposed to put them on a flat surface and then use a feeler gauge and make sure there's no warpage by inserting it under different points for the steel plate. That is, I can't do that. I'm not even sure I have a workspace that's as flat as to allow for such a tight spec. And my Harbor Freight feeler gauge may be a bit off too, so I'm kind of going to give up on that. I'm just going to consider them good. So the steels are fine. The frictions also seem to be fine, although I may just put a new one in just because. But yeah, that was the measurement on the clutch. Everything does look good, and like I said, I never felt any problems when I used the clutch itself. There's no slipping or anything like that. It always worked fine. So for the most part, I think it'll be okay. It should be okay if I just put it back in, but I may just get new frictions anyways. All right, I'm putting everything back here, and if you're a torqueaholic like me, then these bolts, the ones that hold the springs in, they are 10 Newton meters or approximately 89 inch pounds. The clutch cover bolts are also 10 Newton meters or approximately 89 inch pounds. And then this oil drain bolt that I've already put on the 13 mm, that's around 133 inch pounds. So yeah, those are the torque specs on that.